From Panama to Maine, from soccer fields to consulting success, Luis's journey was anything but ordinary.
I'm Luis Estrella. I am a senior at Colby College in Maine.
He came to the US at just 16, chasing a soccer dream. But then, everything changed.
I had a knee injury. My entire life was soccer. Now soccer was gone. So I had to think, okay, what am I going to do in my professional life after soccer?
With his dream on pause, he had to reinvent himself and found a new ambition.
Quickly understood that, if I wanted to go into the industry, I have to work really hard.
A world he barely understood, but one he refused to back down from.
This was like a month-long sprint where all I did was practice behavioral questions and case, like almost every single day.
That's crazy.
But even after the wins, the toughest lessons came later.
Anything you would recommend to yourself looking back?
So what I would say, something that I used to do a lot was
All right, Luis, love having you here. It's been a long journey, so I'd love to just give the listeners a short summary bio, where you're from, all that good stuff to start off.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I'm Luis Estrella. I am a senior at Colby College in Maine, where I study economics and neuroscience. And I'm originally from Panama City in Panama, where I grew up playing soccer. And when I was around 16 years old, I came to the US to play soccer at a prep school on a scholarship. The summer before my freshman year at Colby, I started thinking about what I wanted to study, what I wanted to pursue as a career. And I thought I wanted to study economics, and then thought I wanted to go into investment banking. So quickly understood this was a complex industry to break in. So started networking very early on.
I want to go back to just what motivates you to start networking right out of the gate. This is even before you joined Academy.
Yeah, so this is a pretty good story. That summer before my freshman year at Colby, I had a knee injury, which gave me a ton of time. My entire life was soccer.
Yeah.
And now soccer was gone. So I had to think, okay, what am I going to do in my professional life after soccer?
Yeah.
And, I stumbled into investment banking and quickly understood that, if I wanted to go into the industry, it was going to be hard and I was going to have to work really hard. I think that these came from just my personality, from me being someone that just has always been very driven, very disciplined in soccer. And this was my first time actually seeing myself kind of transferring this skill set from my athletic life to my professional life.
That summer before you even started at Colby, was it something where you were cold emailing? How many people did you talk to? Did you have success?
Yeah, everything was through LinkedIn.
Yep.
And it was a connection request with a short note. And I would say that my hit rate in terms of receiving responses back was about, I would say, 10%. But from those 10%, 90% of them would go from just a message to a call.
Wow.
And
okay.
I would say that I had somewhere between 10 and 15 calls, and not all of them were only in investment banking. I was having some calls with people in private equity, in private credit, in corporate banking, and I was just trying to understand the whole
I assume at that point you're so young, you're 17 or something. At that point, you're just trying to figure out what is what at that point, which is great that you were actually getting on calls with professionals that early. I mean, I think that's an early signal that you're in the right path. Okay, so you kind of start out and then you kind of go through your freshman year, right? And you, like you said, you go back to Panama, and that's kind of when you started, I think, looking at Academy as a potential option. What made you kind of decide to join the program?
Yeah, totally. So that summer between my freshman and sophomore year, I ended up having a super day with Bank of America for the sophomore summer IB internship. And I noticed that I really lacked a structured kind of process to learn the technicals. And I noticed that, okay, it's going to be pretty hard for me to create my own kind of structured guide for this.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was exactly something that the Academy provided, and something that was super helpful, something that where you had a timeline of things that you had to hit, and having people that held you accountable to a certain standard. I feel like that was super helpful.
Yeah, and I think it helped that you had a teammate also in the program.
Yes.
What do you think was most valuable as part of the entire thing?
I think there are two main things about the Academy that are super valuable. Number one, the network that you get to build with professionals that have gone very far in industries like private equity, consulting, or banking. and having direct access to them is something that, you know, it's incomparable. And I would say number two, the fact that I built a skill of being able to walk someone through a story, given any question at all. You can ask me the most unconventional behavioral question right now, and I can give you a good structured answer because I just practiced it so many times with mentors in the academy that now it's just a muscle that I've built.
So talk to me a little bit about just the approach you were using. What was the call volume looking like?
Yeah, so this is a place where I think that my approach was a little bit different than the usual approach.
Yeah.
I feel like the usual approach is cast the widest net you possibly can. And for me, I kind of noticed that there were a couple of people that I connected really strongly with, and I just stuck to them. So I had from 5 to 10 people that I really enjoyed talking to, that I could tell they really liked me, that we could have conversations very often. I didn't really scale too much my networking, kind of in terms of different banks. I was talking with more people within the same banks that I was targeting.
Got it. So what were these? Bulge brackets, lead boutiques, all the above? Or?
It was bulge brackets. It was mostly bulge brackets, yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the consulting, like how that started kind of creeping into your interests, and what was the moment where you're like, hey, you know what, I'm going to open it up here too?
Yeah, I think I can walk you through this kind of chronologically. So sophomore fall, okay, I need something for my sophomore summer, something to look good in my resume to get interviews in banking for my junior summer. So as I said, I recruit for consulting. And throughout this consulting interview process, I started doing case studies and I started really enjoying them. I noticed that things are a little bit intuitive for me in terms of like business acumen. Like things click very fast and I'm really enjoying it. And I felt like, okay, at this point in time, where my mind was at was, I think that I actually like consulting more than banking. And there are different things. I think that the work itself for me was more exciting. I feel like the people in banking were a bit more uptight. Kind of everyone was very similar, came from a very similar background. And I found consulting having a lot of more diversity, a lot of people being a little bit more open. So I would say those two things made me shift to consulting. And then once I chose consulting, I kind of, you know, went all the way through with it.
In that sophomore spring at this point, you know, was there ever like a real low point in recruiting? What was that lowest point for you where you got a couple of rejections or like things weren't going well or like a bad grade? Was there something that stood out?
I think that a low point was when I did not get a GS offer after my second super day. So I had a first super day with the classic trip. They called me and told me that I was being waitlisted, which was bad because I was really happy when they called me. I was like, oh my God, New York. It was not an offer. But then I had the second super day, which was strictly M&A group. And I thought I did very well. I talked to someone in the group and understood very well what they did. Thinking back, like, I don't think that I could have changed anything from what I did in that interview. And, you know, sometimes there's a little bit of luck involved and, you know, it wasn't on my side that day. But I was pretty sad when I didn't get that offer. Then McKinsey opened up. I interviewed with McKinsey, got to the last round there, did not get the offer. At this point, what I'm thinking is, I need something for my junior summer. Like this is like getting tough. Fast forward winter, so it's January. I applied to this role at this consulting firm out of DC, and I initially get a rejection letter. They're like, "Hey, Luis, sorry, but you don't meet what we're looking for."
Right.
And then 3 hours later, they emailed me and like say, "Hey, sorry, we did not mean to send you this email. We actually would like to schedule a first round interview with you." And I'm like, oh my God, okay, this is really exciting. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm putting all of my eggs in this one basket. I need to get this offer. So this was like a month-long sprint where all I did was practice behavioral questions and case, like almost every single day. And I got the offer last Tuesday.
Amazing, man.
They called me and I was really happy. I was super excited. It's definitely one of the best moments I've ever had, being honest.
Amazing. Okay, so just like looking back, was there like a specific mentor or lesson you learned kind of, you know, looking through like the whole success journey or anything like that?
So what I would say is something that I used to do a lot was kind of assigning value to who I am depending on the outcome of the different process that I was going through. So if I didn't get a GS offer, I would think that I'm really dumb and not good enough at what I was doing at work. And then I ended up learning that you should actually give yourself worth based on the preparation that you did to go through that process. If you can go through a process, look back and say, I did everything that I could to be successful, and you were not successful, that's fine. You did everything that was in your control.
Yeah.
And that, changing my mindset made me feel a lot more confident, because I would then go into these interviews and I would know who I am and know that regardless of the decision that they take, I know that I worked really hard for this and I am deserving of a spot here.
I love that. Yeah, the inner confidence is just so massive, and it allows you to kind of come into the interview room not with arrogance, but with a level of just like, I don't need this, because the work that you do to leading up to that, to even get that spot, is already making you better and more dangerous for the rest of your career, not just for this one role. And when you kind of zoom out like that, it makes like what is feared as like the highest stakes moment of your life, because you're so young. When you zoom out, you think of, but in the grand context of like your whole life, it's actually not that big. It's a big moment, but it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm going to panic, right?
Yeah.
It helps you calm down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. I love that, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. It was obviously a long and winding one.
Yeah.
With a little bit of a pivot there in the middle.
Yeah.
I think obviously congrats with all the success, and you definitely earned it. And hopefully you'll stay in touch and continue to use the resources. We got a lot of new fun stuff coming out. That if you ever go to
Thank you for having me, Patrick. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Chat soon.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.